Today's temperature reached 32 degrees and it's now 5:45 at night. And I am looking at my babies here to see which one needs watering. So this is my Haworthias. They still all look nice and plump because we've had rain a few days ago. Hello there, my name is Liz, a self-confessed succulent addict. Welcome to my channel, Growing Succulents. So this video is about watering. It's just a quick guide to watering. We've had rain about 4 days ago, and it's raining for the last 3 hours. All this area that are exposed, so no covering apart from the shade cloth, which water can go through as well. So all of them are drenched and wet and heavy. So let's go this one. See, even the Ionium. So Ioniums, and see the Cante. Look at the Cante. Cante is pretty heavy. And what about this one? Heavy. So most of the pots are heavy. And that one's heavy too. Now see, there's even weeds growing. So that's how much water it's got. So this tells me I don't need to water this area. Last summer, these plants here only receive, or I should say, was watered 4 times. Apart from the Ioniums, the Echeverias, the Kalanchoe, the Flapjack, they have only been watered 4 times in the whole year. 4 times. Now, and most of that I watered during summer. And this calamansi tree, this is a citrus tree that's in a pot. So this calamansi tree, it's got a fairly big pot, and that's the only time that I watered it because that calamansi pot required watering. So probably that tree would have been watered more times than my Echeverias here. It's saying that areas wherein it's covered, okay, I'll take you here. So I'm just going to go slowly. So that part there, okay, that's sort of covered up. So it doesn't get watering. So this area, they have to be hand watered, and they have received more frequent watering than the areas that are exposed. And this area are mostly cactus or cacti and bits and pieces, Kalanchoes and whatever I put in here, because this frequently changes as well as to what I put in there. So this is only this year or a couple of months ago when I set up this shelf here, because I only got that a couple of months ago. So the cacti or the cactuses are fairly new in here. This one's here now gets watered more. The Senecio, so this is Angel's Tears. So Senecio string of Angel's Tears, and this is Senecio cetriformis. Okay, this is a beautiful plant. And also this dolphin that's only newly planted. I'm going to be doing a video of that one sometime later on. I've already filmed the video, I just have to edit it. But anyway, this area gets watered more than the exposed area because they're under cover. Now, if you're going to ask me how often do I water this area, I'm going to answer with as often as required, because these are different plants in different sizes of pots. And you got big pots, you got small pots. There's different types of succulent as well in here. Now, they all have different water requirements. Some needs watering in winter. I still water in spring, in winter if I'm here. And others are dormant in winter. They don't need watering. The summer growers get watered in summer, and then the winter growers get watered in winter. Some plants, like say this one here, this is an Echeveria frosty crested. This one as well only gets watered about 4 times a year, 6 times a year at the most. I've only had this for about 2.5 years. So I can count the number of times that I've actually watered that, because it's in a big pot. So before I water it, I will check the leaves in the bottom. And this one, I've actually never saw them sort of limpy. So I always go by the weight of the pot. And it's a fairly big pot. So that one got watered 4 times to 6 times at the most. So if you're going to ask me how often do you water your succulents, well, it depends on the succulent. Crassula, so this, I just saw this wash chain muscosa. They like water during springtime and also autumn. In winter they actually grow, and in summer, when it gets at the end of spring and coming into summer, they actually go dormant. They go to sleep. They don't like the heat, so they slow down, so they don't need watering. Ioniums are the same. Ioniums are asleep during high temperature or hot weather, so they need less watering than the echeverias. So it depends where you put it and where the plant is grown will determine the frequency of watering. Now, speaking of frequency, these hybrids, these are echeveria hybrids. So watering or frequency of watering is determined by the species and also the variety. So this one, the hybrids, they actually like water. They like water more than, say, the Romeo and the PVN. So even this one, oh look at that, it's beautiful, the Paul Bunyan. So, and I've got Paul Bunyan here. I've got Ionium in a pot over there, only a small pot. So this Ionium is going to sleep now, and it needs less watering, a lot less watering, but that doesn't mean they're asleep. I'm not going to water them. If the pot is really light, then I will still water it, but I will choose to water that at the end of the day, so at night time they get time to rest and not have to fight and get boiled by the sun. I mean the roots, so it doesn't boil. Because what happens is, if you water during the day, the pot gets hot, the soil gets hot, the water boils up, and then the poor little plant, the poor little succulent, will get cooked up. So that's specifically Ionium, okay, Ionium. Now, Crassula is also asleep, so they're both the same. So there are Crassulas that actually grow during summer when it's warm. And I think Capitella, this one is a dwarf form. I think it's one of them that grows. So you just have to observe your plant, what it's doing. And if it looks like it's not growing, so say for example, I'm gonna go here. So this Crassula, springtime, has already finished flowering. When they finish flowering, that's an indication that they're already going night-night. They're going to sleep. So they're gonna look tatty for a while during the summertime. So normally I take my Crassula and put it, pick this up somewhere where it's nice and cool and they don't get cooked up. In place of this pot here, I'll put an echeveria or something else in there. Now Gasteria, they don't care as long as you don't water them too much, because it's the same thing as aloes. But I find that some Gasteria, especially the hybrids, the Gaster aloe, they love water and they grow in summer. And yet, a lot of the Gasteria goes to sleep in summer. So the indicator is when they start flowering. They normally flower in spring, to let you know that I'm going to sleep now. Once my seeds dries up, I'm going to say night-night, I'm going to bed, so which means they don't need to be watered. On the other hand, the freelies, when it comes to Echeveria, say Echeveria Violet Queen. Echeveria Violet Queen actually goes dormant when it's hot. They do most of their growing in autumn, winter, and spring. And after they flower in spring, I noticed that they actually don't grow as much when it's too hot. So these ones as well, they're gonna go night-night as well. So the hybrids, on the other hand, this is too much information to take in, I know. But the hybrids, on the other hand, they love water. So all the hybrids, So you have to find out. You have to Google up what sort of plant or what's the name of your, say, echeveria. Now I'm going to be specific. What sort of name it is. And if it's a hybrid, then they like water even in summer. But then you have to pick the right time to water them again. So it gets complicated. The plot thickens. So now, today, the 27th of November, at 6 o'clock, I think it's 31 degrees now. I think the temperature's cooled down. I think we reached 32 today. And tomorrow, forecast is 32 degrees as well. And then the following day is 26 degrees and then 27 degrees and so on and so forth. And then it goes back up again and then it goes back down again. So it pays to keep an eye on the temperature. What's the temperature doing? So when I started growing succulent, that's one habit that I have formed. I always check the weather. I watch the news and keep a lookout on how hot or how cold it's going to be. Are we going to have frost? Are we going to have cold? Are we going to have wet? Are we going to have sun, rain, fire, whatever? So you have to factor that all in to watering. So now these echeveria hybrids are all soft. So that's why the best method of finding out if your succulents need watering is by touchy-feely or just even looking at them. Because you can see that one? See, it's all sort of wrinkly, isn't it? Like, see that? And it's soft. It's supposed to be bouncy and it's not really bouncy. Up the top, see this one's bouncy up the top there, but then down in the bottom is where they go soft. And also you can tell because you've got dry leaves. So I'm still not going to remove that, but then if I pick up the pot, that's actually light for its weight, and considering there's still a rock in there, the crystal, and it's quite light. And so as these ones as well. So I really need to water them. Now on watering plants that haven't been watered for a long time, I always use my sea soil, super soil wetter and conditioner. Okay, so this is what happens. Okay, I was gonna do a demo, but then treated soil with sea salt soil wetter, the water penetrates much better. See those arrows going down? They go straight down to the soil. Now, if you just use plain water, the soil will repel the water, becoming water repellent soil. So which means it's not going to absorb it. And if it doesn't absorb it, it's not going to go into the roots. And if it doesn't go into the roots, your plant's going to die. The leaves will start falling off, and eventually you'd say, what happened to my succulent, to my little baby? Then they fall off. So this goes through with a lot of leafy succulents, which is your echeveria, graptoveria, pachyphytum, graptopetalum. And not so much with sediveria. Sediveria is much hardier, but sediveria lose their leaves when they go into dormancy. But other than that, they love water. So, but the water has to go through the soil. So without super soil wetter, you can use other seaweed or even agar. It's a vegetarian gelatin. So you can use that. Go look it up online. Gardening Australia had a feature on agar. For other countries that you can't find soil wetter, because they do come in different forms. It doesn't have to be sea salt. Soil wetter can also be lawn wetter, so your garden grass wetter. I don't know what you call it in other countries, but here in Australia we have a few different brands. So, and sea salt just happens to be one of them. Okay, so now I'm just going to fill up my bottle sprayer, and I'm also going to talk about this one. I've had this one for 12 years. This is Killer Spray Garden. So this one you get what you paid for when it comes to water sprayer. So this is pressure sprayer. Okay, now hang on, this is used for chemicals, and hang on, now this is very difficult doing it in one hand. I know, I got no choice. I tried using a sling before, but then the camera that I captured went even worse. It went everywhere. Okay, now I have to lock it in. Okay, put your feet together and turn. I can't do it. Weird. Okay, it worked. Hang on, but it's still there you go. Just Now let's go check the soil first. You can see, look at that. That is really dry. Look, really dry. And if I put my moisture meter in, what does it say? No movement at the station. Down in the one here, same thing. It's below 0. I mean below 1. That one too, nothing. So that means they're all really dry. So down to the bottom. In scenarios like this, whether it's a big pot or a small pot, they haven't been watered for a long time and they're really dry, and the leaves are all soft and limpy. Look at that. What I use is our sea soil wetter. Okay, so that's nice and tight and pumped up. Now I start them off by spraying them with sea salt, and I lock this spray bottle. So this spray bottle is really good for when you're watering a lot of even babies. So I just do about 10 seconds to get the surface wet. That way it can have a start. Not really 10 seconds, so maybe 15 seconds. So, oh hang on, that's 15 seconds already. I'm already gone past. Now this one's the same, so that's all. So just get them wet first up with the sea salt just to start them off. And if there's a rock obstructing your watering, take it off. See how the water, see, just goes through straight away. Look at that. Okay, now I'll do the same here. Look, I'm gonna go over there. Okay, you can see water just goes down. Now if I use me hose, watch, the water just goes on top, and if I scrape this through, okay, underneath, that's just wet, that's just dry. So the water just went over the edge. Now on the other side, let's go there. Look, the water has penetrated, and the first 1/4 of an inch, because we've only done it fairly quickly, the water has already penetrated the soil. So that's why I like using soil wetter. Now let's go continue. So if you do use soil wetter, believe me, do a test. See for yourself what it can do, and you will be a convert. You will never ever go without a soil wetter ever again, and your plants will show it. They will show you how appreciative they are by showing you their beauty. So there you go. So now I need to pump this up. So after, okay, so I'll pretend that I've already watered them first with the soil wetter. Now I can use the hose and then drown them, see, and you will see bubbles just forming to tell. See, even the water, you can see the water just goes down. See, look at that. See, it just goes straight down. But if you haven't got soil wetter, the water tends to pool on the top, and then you scratch the surface. If I scratch the surface, see, now look at that. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? See, but there's compartments wherein it's dry, so that's why you need to use the soil wetter. But even now, now that's already good. So because we've started it off, there you go. So normally start from the top, but this one now, this poor thing, will have pockets of dry, so I really have to treat this with soil wetter. So there you go, that's it. So now I'm gonna go through the other side and do the same thing. But first I have to finish watering these ones. Oh, whew, gives you a good exercise with my soil wetter. I love my soil wetter. There you go. Doesn't matter what brand it is, because I've actually used a couple of different brands. So one is sea salt and the other one was Garden Essential or something. And next time I water this will be probably in the next 3 weeks or a month, I'm gonna check on them. Or if I see that they're going limpy, then I'll water them. But if not, but it also depends how dry it is. Last year we had drought and I watered 4 times. And this year we had a lot of rain, so which means there's a lot of humidity in the air. When there's a lot of humidity in the air, then you water less.